Welcome. What we're going to be looking at today is we're going to be looking at how critical thinking can be used to analyze your texts, and basically how you analyze a text, interpret a text using critical thinking skills. Okay, so basically, we'll just go down into the basics first. Every idea, theme, and concept in the text is open for interpretation. So nothing is set in stone. Everything can be interpreted, and requires your interpretation not only to understand what it is that's happening in a text, but also to have relevance and meaning to you. And for you to be able to engage with a text, it must be able to give you something that you can interpret. So something that you can read, something that you can feel, something that you can think about, a reaction to reading it. All of those things come through just basically through reading a text, or through watching a film or anything else like that. So if you see a movie and it gives you that really feel-good ending at the end and makes you cry a little bit, then that's basically you interpreting the text and getting that really sad feeling at the end of it, or really happy feeling if it's a happy film. So this meaning can basically change in virtually any text. Now, don't assume common knowledge, because even facts can basically need to be proven. You can't just basically say that's a fact, it's true because it's a fact. You need to actually prove it's true. All right, so if you're answering a question, you're not just basically listing facts, you're proving why your answer is correct. So for that reason, you can actually choose to ignore some more common analysis and really come up with your own. So you don't necessarily have to stick to the tried and true methods of analyzing a particular text. So if you're looking at a romance story, you don't have to necessarily say it's a romance story, so I have to talk about it being about love. You can talk about a lot of other things which may be important to the text and may contribute just as much to its meaning as love does. So there's not necessarily a common a common ground on how you need to analyze a text. It is purely up to you. Now, as I said, texts can be analyzed independently, which means they can be analyzed independently not just by you, but they can be analyzed independently of their context and of their author as well. Which basically means that you are analyzing it not off what someone else wants or by the opinions of a lot of different people. You can analyze it purely on what you think. And really, in English, that's what we're trying to get you to do, is to analyze it in your own words, in your own voice, and using your own arguments. I mean, if we wanted you to use someone else's argument, we'd get them to write it. But that's not what we want you to do. We want it to be about you, so what you can do. Now, there is no set consensus on how you should analyze a text, only that you are able to justify the how and why in your argument. So in other words, you must be able to prove it. Now, you can use your opinion all you want, but you need to be able to prove it, and you need to write it in such a way where you're using objective reasoning. And in other words, that you are writing about an objective kind of way. You're not putting your own personal opinion in there, or basically you're not taking it personally what it's trying to do, but you are including your opinion in such a way that you're talking about what facts are important to the overall meaning in the text. That's your opinion, but you're writing about it in an objective way. I know it doesn't really make sense, but when you're basically writing an essay or writing any sort of response requiring critical thinking, you need to just do more than provide your opinion. You need to be able to back it up. Now, being able to back up something with facts is more objective than it is subjective. So even though it is your opinion, you're still writing about it in an objective way, which I know is different from basically the idea of opinion as such. But it's one of those paradoxes that makes English a very interesting subject and very confusing at times. But basically, you're writing about it in such a way where you're not just saying, I think this is true because. You're saying it is true because. All right, so you're using your opinion, just not calling it that. All right, it requires basically breaking down a text in its key sections, a bit of note-taking, which is always handy, but obviously read it or watch it first, and for you to make some very clear distinctions. So be able to basically interpret it in a very, very clear sort of way. So you're not sort of going through and umming and ahhing and coming up with all these ideas that really don't make a lot of sense. You've got some very clear things that you're talking about and some very, very clear ideas and agendas which are going to be used throughout your critical analysis and your own interpretation of the text. So you interpret in such a way that other people can understand it, and other markers particularly, or the people who are going to be marking your work, will be able to understand it. Okay, so